All right, so we got to go to this story that you told me a long time ago that we talked a moment about it, but you told me about this very wild experience you had with some Russians. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to let you tell this story without giving the summary of it. But this blew my fucking mind when I heard it. And now that, 10 or whatever, how many years, and we've both experienced a lot of the same medicine since then. And so let's talk about this experience, because as much ayahuasca as we both drank, as much of that, this sounded like a really unique thing that I have not heard anybody else talk about.
So this was an experience definitely I'll never forget. But I was in a Russian club one night, and the Russians test you a lot, and they try to scare you a little. So I caught myself in the club, and I was by myself now at this point with the I guess the head Russian guy, and he had girls and a lot of people around, and they started giving me stuff, right? Putting stuff in my mouth or in my drink, and just drugged me out. Whatever it was, just took me out. And then they carried me out of a club, and I found myself in a car driving out of Macau across the bridge. And I woke up in a hotel room with the Russian boss next to me, and there were some other people in the room, and they're kind of questioning me, and it was pretty difficult. But then,
did you think you were going to die?
I at that point I was out of it enough to where it just didn't matter. I just was. I was just trying to stay up.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty intense moment, especially with the other people there, because they weren't friendly. They weren't being mean, but they were there to watch.
Yeah.
And they were kind of circled us around us. But the Russian guy was kind of out of it too. And so he would ask me questions, and other people would ask me questions. And for whatever reason, the Russian boss and I kind of connected. We started appreciating each other a little. And then they passed something around, and I wasn't sure if I sniffed it or if it was in my drink, but it was something extremely intense. And I found myself pulling G's in the chair. And
so it was the sensation of being in G forces, like
yes,
someone's been on like a...
I had no idea. I've never felt anything like this. Like I can remember holding the bottom of my chair like a rocket and trying to hold myself in the chair, and it just felt like I was going 1,000 miles an hour. And then when I stopped, I was no longer in that room, and I was sitting at a long table, long on each side, and the Russian guy was across from me, and there were other men that I could see on this table, and him and I had very deep conversation, and it lasted quite a while. And then when I came out of that, we were back in the hotel room, and he started repeating to me the conversation that we had there. And I had no idea what was going on at this point. It was very tough. I'm like, wait, we were just talking there, and he repeated everything. And then he talked about what we talked about. And then they would give you a break, and you would sit there and just kind of sit in your chair and relax. And then they would come and pass something around. They would give you a Corona, just a sip. And then next thing you know, you go back in. And I'd be back at that table. And then the Russian guy and I would start having conversations again. I can remember he told me about a club he wanted to design. He was telling me about how he wanted beautiful paintings on the wall, things by Michelangelo, and he would go over the paintings that he wanted the wall to look like. Mm-hmm. And he would talk to me about it, and I could see his hand do this, and I'd see the wall come up. And we were basically designing this property together. And everything that he would do, he could make the wall smaller, bigger. And so we were looking at him designing this property. And then we came out of it. We're back in the chairs in the hotel room. And then I'd talk to him about the club he just designed. And he was so happy because we were fully communicating on this other side.
Yeah.
God, it went on forever. It went on a long time. And when it was all over with, I think they left me in the room, and I woke up maybe a day later, and there was one person in the room that was just left there to keep an eye on me. And I got out of this place and found a taxi and made it back to the Wynn. And they were worried. I've been gone for days. And everyone was worried something happened. It took me about a week. I stayed in my room for about a week. I didn't want to get out. I even had one of my buddies sleep in my bed with me for a couple of nights. Like, man, I don't know what just happened, but that was very intense. And so after about a week, I came back to it, and I went straight to the Russians Club, and I sat with them. We had a drink together and left, and they never messed with me after that. We kind of just became okay.
So what you're describing, first of all, seems like it's like a magical technology, basically, like some kind of medicine drug concoction.
He said that he got it from the Chinese boss, the triad boss, and the triad boss did this to him, and he said that there is a society. There's a society of men, and that's how they have their conversation is through this type of drug or it
medicine. Allows you to enter a shared space in, I guess, what you would call the astral. It's like an actual location, which is like this shared space. And
very conscious there.
Yeah.
Like in my body, I was out, and over there, very clear, very conscious. We had real discussion, spoke of our fathers, spoke of our childhoods. We spoke in great depth of feelings. You couldn't help it.
Yeah.
There was no lying involved. It was all honest emotion and honest conversation. And that's actually where we bonded.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so now subsequently you've done a lot of ayahuasca. We've been to a lot of places. I've never encountered anything like that place with this thing. I mean, but you hear about shared vision spaces where people can get in, and I think I've had some kind of same things happening, but nothing that's even close to this lucid, and nothing that even seems like this story. If you take this story in, it shifts your paradigm of what you think is possible in the non-physical dimension exchange, right? Something else is possible.
I think it shifted something in me. It opened something in me. It was certainly an experience that opened a door that, I think about still sometimes, because it has made it easier for me now to go deep into another space.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've already been through a pretty tough door. I've tried to ask what it was, and they would never give me an answer, never tell me anything what it was.
Yeah. You could visit, but you weren't a member.
Right. I guess. Yeah.
And that also just speaks to this idea that, well, no, actually there really are special technologies and special mystery schools that exist and amongst different people. Like this is a real phenomenon where there's some real shit that's happening out there.
Yes.
That we're not aware of, that we're not privy of, that's not going to be written about in the latest MAPS newsletter. There's some stuff that exists still.
I think it's a very small percentage of people that are brought into that and able to actually maintain enough to function in that space.
Right. Yeah. Well, you were the right person for the job. You've been training for that moment your whole life.
Yeah. I started enjoying it. It was so fascinating. I was like, okay, well, I remember maybe the third time. He says, okay, put your seatbelt on. And I remember I was looking for it. I was sitting in a chair and I was trying to find my seatbelt. I was like, I have to hurry and put my seatbelt on before it starts again. And, obviously I didn't have one, but I would just hold the bottom of my chair and like, okay, I'm ready. Let's go. And we'd be there.
Wow.
Yeah.